All right, let's jump right in. Today we're breaking down a story that, honestly, sounds a little crazy. How someone took just $500 and turned it into more than $10,000 in a single year. We're going to find out exactly how they did it step by step.
So this is the quote that got my attention. 12 months ago, I had just $500. Today, it's over $10,000. You hear something like that and you immediately think, okay, what's the catch? It wasn't a lottery ticket. It wasn't some lucky inheritance. The source makes it really clear this was a process. And that brings up the big question.
Exactly. How did this happen? Was it a 1 in a million lucky stock pick, a total fluke? Or is this a system, a blueprint that theoretically anyone could follow? The whole point of this explainer is find out. So let's dig in and unpack this starting right at the beginning.
Okay, Section 1, the $500 challenge. Before we even get to the how, we need to understand the why. This whole thing didn't start with a goal to get rich quick. It actually started with a really common frustration.
And here's the problem: inflation. In early 2024, if you just had money sitting in a savings account, it was losing 3, maybe 4% of its value every single year. You weren't even touching it, and it was becoming worth less. The motivation here was pure defense, really. It was a reaction to watching your hard-earned money just silently shrink.
So, with that problem in mind, what's the next step? Well, it wasn't to just blindly throw that $500 into the first stock that looked good. Nope. The first move was to sit down and actually create a smart, strategic plan.
And right away, you can see how disciplined this was. That $500 wasn't one single bet. It was carefully split into 3 different buckets. 50%, so $250, went into a safe index ETF. 30%, or $150, went into solid dividend stocks. And then just a small 20% slice, $100, was set aside for a high-risk, high-reward play.
And each of these buckets had a very specific job to do. That index ETF, that's the safety net. It's meant for slow, steady, reliable growth that just tracks the market. The dividend stocks, they're the income engine, designed to just churn out small, consistent cash payments. And that last bucket, the high-risk one, well, that was the growth rocket, the moonshot. It could have totally fizzled out and gone to zero, but it also had the potential to seriously speed things up.
Now, that investment plan is pretty solid, right? But on its own, it's slow. To get from $500 to $10,000, it needed gas. It needed an accelerator, and this is the active ingredient that most people completely miss.
$60. That's it. That was the profit from the very first side hustle, flipping an old iPhone. Now, stop and think about that for a second. That one action generated a 12% return on the entire initial investment, almost instantly. This is where the strategy shifts from just passively waiting for growth to actively pouring fuel on the fire. And this really shows you the fundamental difference here. If you left that $500 alone to grow passively, in a really good year it might turn into, what, $550? I mean, that's a tortoise's pace. But by actively injecting new cash from side hustles, the whole journey gets turbocharged. It goes from a slow crawl to an absolute sprint.
So now you've got 2 things happening. You've got money coming in from the investments, and you have money coming in from side hustles. This is where a really powerful snowball effect starts to build, and where the magic of compounding really begins to shine. This timeline really shows how the strategy wasn't just set it and forget it. It evolved. It starts with that initial investment in month 1. By month 2, you see those first side hustle profits getting pumped in. Then, look at month 6, a momentum play. That means they took some of the gains and invested in a stock that was already trending up, trying to ride the wave. The strategy was alive, it was adapting.
So the heart of this whole thing, the one unbreakable rule, was this: reinvest everything. Every single dividend payment, every dollar of profit from flipping stuff or doing a freelance gig, all of it went right back into the pot to buy more assets. And then, of course, those new assets start generating their own profits, creating this incredibly powerful self-sustaining loop.
And that brings us to the grand finale. After months and months of this disciplined grinding, the last 2 months of the year saw this just dramatic acceleration that finally pushed the portfolio over the top.
Just pause on that for a second. By month 10, the hard work had already turned that initial $500 into $6,500. That's a 13 times increase. An incredible achievement on its own.
But the biggest jump was actually still to come.
And there it is, over $10,000. So how did that final leap happen? It was a 1-2 punch. First, remember that growth rocket, that little high-risk stock? Well, the company got acquired, and it paid off, big time. And at the exact same moment, the steady profits from the side hustles just kept coming in. It was the combination of patience, active work, and that one calculated risk that pushed it across the finish line.
So, when you boil this whole thing down, it wasn't luck, it wasn't magic, it was a formula. You start, even if it's small, you split your money into those strategic buckets, you add fuel to the fire with active income streams, you reinvest every single penny to let compounding do its work, and you track everything to stay disciplined. That's the formula.
At the end of the day, this isn't just one person's cool story. It's a blueprint built on strategy, discipline, and a whole lot of active effort. We just saw how the system turned $500 into $10,000. It kind of leaves you with one final thought, doesn't it? What could a system like this do for you?